Race World First coming up. Actually recorded all that Amidrasil behind the scenes footage for the last Race World First. How long ago was that? Fuck. Should probably get that out. Do you want to come back to raid?
I mean, who knows? I mean, for now, I'm still retired. And
Is it true that you sold your car to help fund the last Race World First?
I mean, I don't.
That's a king move, man. Legends, I'm joined here by Mr. Sweden, Jimmy. Jimmy, how are we feeling about the race, bro?
Overwhelmed and good.
Overwhelmed and good.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to put on a race for World First? Or who the people are behind the scenes at Method that bring you one of the biggest events in WoW? Or are you just bored and simply can't be fucked skipping this video? Well, today, I'm here to grant you an all-access pass into the brains behind the Method team at the Race for World First. We're speaking with the players, the production team, sales and marketing, and the CEO of Method himself.
Hey guys, it's Skull here.
Hey guys, Skull here. Today we're going to be
guys,
looking
it's
at the
Skull
top 5
here
unicorns.
today.
Here we go. Take 7 fucking thousand billion because you can't say 4 lines. Oh, it's a fucking cork in the back of my head. Because today, no, can't turn, my hat's getting stuck. Season 2. Fuck. Welcome to the fuck my life. And maybe I am Australian, so just talk like a fucking normal person. Welcome to the Kingston Fury. Welcome to the Kingston Dragon. Okay, I need a break. G'day, riders. Today, I'm approaching a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I've waited my whole darn life to get me Nashes into a cracker like this one. Let's take a peek at this season, because we're going down under. Welcome to the Kingston Fury Dragon Grand Prix Season 2.
In terms of prep, because a lot of people don't understand just how much work you guys actually put into something like this, roughly how many days a week, how many hours per day, and when did prep start for this race?
Prep realistically would start the moment the previous race ends, because then you've started going into splits, getting all the characters ready, then PTR comes up, doing all the PTR testing as well. Prep on this patch starts Wednesday morning. We all get straight in. We had the infamous seed farm, which everyone went through, and that was easily pretty much playing every hour of every day, sort of 16 hours a day on getting the rep grind done and all the characters and what have you. So it's been long for a prep week, but we've made the most of it, we think.
How many characters are you prep for this one?
8 mirrors, so 8 warriors, 10 characters total, because I've got a shaman and a shadow priest as well.
Oh, just having the whole like spirit and atmosphere. It's actually kind of crazy. Like when you're at home on your own, just playing at your PC, it's like it's not. It's good, yeah. But when you're here with 10 people in the same room, all having the same goals and trying to push it as hard as they can, it really does motivate you to really push, like next level push.
Energy is just something different. I'm excited usually at home as well, but this is completely different, right? And even if you're tired, it just carries you on. Yeah.
Feeling the emotions.
Yeah.
Just feeling the room.
Yeah.
Being in the room, dude. And feeling everybody else. That's just good vibes. Having my boy.
Yeah, that's right.
That's my boy.
All right, Daz, for those who don't know what you do behind the scenes here, for all you do for Method, can you give me a quick breakdown of what it is you do for Method?
Sure you've not got a notepad. Okay, so like my job at Method, I'm the event director at Method, so I'm responsible for the conceptualization, planning, preparation, execution of all events. So, in an event like this, it's things like, scouting out venues, coming up with deals with venues, catering, travel, lodging, like hotels, stuff like that, making sure that all the planning for everything involved and the timelines and etc. is all done and everything's done in the timely manner that needs to be done to make sure that everything's in place by the time we press go live. There's a whole world of stuff that encumbers in more granular detail, but I'd probably say at a high level that's pretty much what I do.
How did Leak Camp come about? Like, how did we find this place? Because no one had ever used it before, so how did this happen?
If I remember rightly, I think that the camp owner, Felix, he was at a convention somewhere where Scott was there, and they managed to have a chat, and Felix said that he has this venue here in Weiblingen, and that, you know, they were talking about the Race to World First event. I think Felix was somewhat familiar with it, and that's how the conversation went. And Scott put me into contact with him via email and was like, can you look into this place, you know, have a chat with Felix and such. But yeah, like immediately, as soon as I got into a call with Felix, I got in a call with Felix and Ella. They pretty much run the camp together, and like I just knew straight away that they'd just be a great company to work with. Like it was just so easy, so dynamic. You know, it was a personable bond straight away. We just kind of hit it off, and I knew that these guys had something special to offer. I just wasn't sure what it was until I eventually got here.
There's a lot of people emerging in the casting space these days. There's a lot of people that want to get involved, and there's several different opportunities people are starting to make for themselves now. As somebody that organises the casters, scouts casters, does the rostering and all that kind of stuff, what are you looking for in casters? What advice would you have for casters that are perhaps seeking out opportunities and want to end up in this kind of opportunity, casting a Race for World First at a live event? What do you got to offer?
Okay, so what I look for personally is, you know, you have your three types of casting roles. You have your hosts, you have your analysts, and like your hybrid casters who kind of do a bit of both. So I always like to make sure there's a nice balance between hosts and casters, but I like hosts and analysts, sorry. But I really focus on personality because I feel like that for an event like the Race to World First, there's so much what I would consider downtime that I want that to be filled quite colourfully. So I like to make sure that I've got people who have a very specific skill set in whether it be hosting or being an analyst, but also have some personality element that they can add to the casting couch. Because that allows us to create, like, you know, better content throughout the race, you know, and throwing like a third person onto a couch or whatever. It's always going to be an addition, never a subtraction from like the energy that's going on the couches. So that's really important to me. So talking about like advice that I give to people like me, we don't have a special system that we have to try and find people. You have to, it's when in sight, when in mind in this game. So it's more kind of like, if you are not actively reaching out to people, like myself, like whether it be via email, via DM, or however you want to try and get attention, then I'm not going to maybe not know of your existence unless I already know of you. You know. Secondly, is make sure that you have your contact information on social media. The amount of times I preach this, I see somebody, and it's like, these seem like someone I'd like to reach out to, and I go to social media, I try and find their Twitches, and I just want an email. I can't find any way to contact people, and I feel like there's a couple of people over the years that have probably missed on a potential opportunity, you know, because I've not been able to contact them. So I would say, make sure that you are out there. Make sure that you're actively trying to find these people. You don't need to have a CV. You don't need to have a skillet reel. You know, that's not something that I would ask for. If you do have it, I would watch it, but it's not something I look for. I usually like to get into a call with people, feel people out, feel the energy that they offer, and then ask for them to submit some kind of content, whether it be, what's your Twitch channel? Can I watch one of your VODs when you're streaming, so I can really feel like how you interact with people? You know, and then it's quite easy to profile people then. This person is a cutting edge raider. They're going to be pretty good as an analyst, etc. Whereas sometimes you just find someone who's like a pure like entertaining content creator who has, you know, the natural ability to just do like sponsor deliverables and things like that. Which is very, very important, because without the sponsors and them being satisfied with the deliverables that we agree on, then they're not going to sponsor these events in the future. So finding people who can really nail that is incredibly important.
If I could say you can have anything you want for Race for World First, what is it? And I know that's a terrible question to put you on the spot on with the couch, but like, what do you want? What is it?
So I have to, I guess, disclaim that this is me personally on an individual level, as someone who's worked behind the scenes, and this is not, you know, like on the behalf of Method's perspective. This is me. And what I wish that the Race to World First would grow into would be something where we could all come together. I love the idea of, at some point in time, the top 5 teams, or 3 teams to begin with, 2 teams to begin with, whatever it is, it's done under one roof. Creating a better event, because the problem is with the Race to World First, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about this over the years. It's money, right? So So I say to myself sometimes, there's a number of different organizations that are all sourcing their own money to put into these separate events in separate places. Whereas if we just all pooled resources, the quality and the amount of content we could create around it would be insane. I want to turn the Race to the World first, not from just an event showcasing the gameplay. I want to create a convention. I want to create a Super Bowl. That's what I want to turn it into. That's like my end goal is over time to get that into a Super Bowl. Live bands, Q&A panels, everything. Bring in the public in. And Elite Camp is a great place for something like that. Like I have a very clear vision what I want to do here at Elite Camp in the coming tiers. And I want to go in that direction because I believe that the race is more than just the race. The race is a time of year. Right, people feel it. The hype is there before the race, so why not fill it with something that people want to see, bringing people together, content creators, players alike, and just create a convention, like a ceremony out of it. Like I very much believe that is the future and how we can scale this thing upwards, because without that, we're just going to be doing the same thing for a long time. And I think that, you know, if new players are not coming in and then latching onto the race and becoming fans of it, as time goes on, people may drop off, and it could be the actual decline of the race rather than it growing. So I feel like the approach to the race needs to change, and we need to evolve with it and just try and make it go in a direction that makes sense. And that's kind of like a long-term goal vision that I have for the race, and I'm sure as heck hope that I get there.
Dupes, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, great. Very tired. Been long days, but ready for the race to start and hopefully for it to go well.
That's what we like to hear. Dupes, there's going to be a lot of people that don't know because you're one of the man of action behind the scenes for Method here. Can you tell me about and tell everyone watching about what you do for Method here?
Yeah, so I'm the sales and partnerships manager. So pretty much my job is to find money or try and find sponsors or try and find ways of making the event happen, and that sort of encapsulates quite a lot. It includes speaking to Elite Camp and the venue, and trying to keep relationships and trying to build new ones. So, and obviously Method being quite a small business in the grand scheme of things, my job sort of expands to everything and everything. So I'm here sort of doing Kanan's job while he's not here at the race, and pretty much anything that Scott asked me to do.
When Race World first coming up, obviously it costs a lot of money to put something like this on.
Yeah.
What's the process you go through in trying to find sponsors to obviously back Method to help that? And is there a challenge that goes in attracting money to World of Warcraft?
100%. I think what a lot of people don't know about the race is, like, even with Elite Camp is, although we speak to them about running the event, we actually don't know if the event's happening until we've got the money there to do it, right? Because it is a huge risk for us and likely for Elite Camp. If we can't pay certain things, they can't host the venue. But we have a really good relationship where we sort of have this deadline. But for Method, I think for us it's like looking at one endemic versus non-endemic. So endemic would be we look at generic esports sponsors, and then we think, okay, peripherals. Everyone has peripherals. What really works with us? And then we look at what Raiders have and what people are using. And then HyperX came up, and we got in touch, and we end up building a relationship over time, and then getting them to sponsor the event. But I think when looking for ones, definitely for endemic, it's what makes sense. What can we look at, and what can I guess we get for the race, and how will it help, and how will it help the players? I guess is a big thing in our mindset is, when it comes to chairs and human scale joining the race, although they're just joining for the race, it's, a lot of people are sponsored by Secret Labs and a lot of people have other brands. It's just human scale's first entry into gaming is through Method. And for us, that's sort of incredible. And we'd consider them non-endemic, right? So they're the brands that we really want to target. And you see brands such as Gucci and stuff getting to CSGO and you think, holy shit, that is sick. But for us, it's like, how can we do that crossover and do it through Method and World of Warcraft? Because we have the advantage that WoW player base is slightly older, but it's also a harder game with less viewership than a CS or an FPS game. So definitely a lot of processes that go into it. Ideally for me, it's about bringing non-endemics in, but part of my role is just building relationships with everyone. And a thing Method didn't really do in the past is go to a lot of events. And I've been making quite a key effort for Method and myself to go lots of networking events and travel around Europe, just going and speaking about Method and what we're trying to achieve.
Moving forward with races, I was talking to Darren before about what he wanted to see coming into races, or what his ideal format for a race world first, or what the event itself would look like. Have you got sort of any view of that for yourself in regards to your position and how you would love to see this space looking, or do you think it's going to get more and more challenging as we head on into the space of WoW? Or
it's actually kind of crazy because every time I get real doomer mode about it and think, you know, I'm working in a game and it's just getting tougher. And, you know, I don't know if people know this, but Blizzard actually have some rules around the race. So because the race is a community event, you're not allowed things like crypto sponsors and gambling sponsors by virtue of what the race is, which if you follow any other esport in the world, pretty much every scene is propped up by those such entities. So we're already hands tied before we even start. Like, you know, you're starting the leg with one, or starting the race with one leg. I think for me, an ideal race, I think the race has so much potential. Our viewership actually grows every event, which you think is crazy. But I guess naturally more people, if they stop playing WoW, you still watch it. You still have an interest in it. For me, I haven't really got an idea of what the perfect race would be, because I actually really vibe with the fact that everyone has their own venue and everyone has their own event. I would personally like to see Blizzard get a lot more involved, but I know you made a video about Blizzard getting involved in the race, and I think there are so many logistics that make that really hard.
It's crazy.
But I definitely think there could be a way where it's like, I don't know, Blizzard just announced a prize pool that is, I don't know, something like, you know, let's just chuck in a random number and say like $500,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of money, right? They say $500,000, and they say this is split between the top 10. But then they contact the GM of the guild. The GM of the guild has to sort it out, and everyone has to sign like an in-game contract where they agree that the GM handles their stuff, and it makes it seem a bit weird. But I think I'm trying to think of a way that Blizzard would do it, where they'd be able to give someone the money, and then because I'm sure there's so much legal that goes behind it. But for me, Blizzard getting more involved is like the next step.
All right, Doobs, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, mate. Give me some.
Thank you.
All right, I'm joined on the couch with the man, the myth, the legend, Sko. How we doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me. Is that how you introduce all your guests?
Yeah, no, only you.
Only me, yeah. I'm looking to the production team here. Is that true, guys? They're saying it's true. Yeah, I'm doing good. Here at the Method Race World First event, close to Stuttgart, here at the Leet camp. It's looking really nice, actually. We obviously did the last Race World First here back in May, so this is 6 months later, and you know, now coming back to the venue and having seen it the first time, I think we've really leveled things up. So really excited to get that stream started on Wednesday and show everyone what we've kind of been working on. And of course, the guild, right? They've continued to get stronger and stronger. It was a very close race last time around, so fingers crossed we have a great performance this tier, and just really looking forward to seeing what they can do. Yeah.
Tell me, I just want to know. I want to get pretty bare bones here. I want you to tell me what this means to you in terms of, you know, full rebuild of Method to get back to this level, to get back to doing live events. You got the most sponsors there's been for a Race World First for Method, I believe, in this 1 in 12 sponsors. What does that mean for you? And is it true that you sold your car to help fund the last Race World First?
I mean, I don't.
That's a king move, man. That's a king move.
We could say that, but I don't know. But yeah, this is it's actually amazing to have so many partners join us for this event. I think it's actually probably the most partners we've ever had supporting a Race to World First event. So that's really refreshing to see. But just to kind of touch on what you originally asked, so we were just at BlizzCon a week ago, and I posted something about this on Twitter and Instagram. But like going to BlizzCon this year, it was 4 years since I went to the last one. Last one in 2019, and so a lot's happened in that last 4 years, right? Both personally and also with Method. So I kind of wasn't really sure what to expect. You know, I was a little bit anxious or whatever going. But getting there, it was actually like incredible. Like I literally, you can ask Adeline about this, I guess, like literally had hundreds of like people stopping me, coming up to me, like, you know, really happy that Method's still going, really happy that we've, you know, rebuilt everything, and just so much support, honestly, for what we're doing with Method. So that was really refreshing to see. So I would say that I left BlizzCon with like a complete new amount of energy for, you know, to keep pushing, because that's what we've been doing for like the last 3.5 years at this point in time, is we're pushing to try and get that 13th world first. So that means, I mean, it means a lot to me, obviously, right? Like, because, you know, I want to get Method back to the #1 spot, just however long it takes, right? So we're going to keep pushing until we totally achieve that. So seeing, you know, how this event's come together again, the second live event, and seeing how the guild just continues to get better and better every tier, gets us closer and closer to that mark. It's huge.
How do you think moving forward in the WoW space, because I was talking to Darren and Dupes about the challenges from their point of view moving forward with World of Warcraft, attracting new sponsors, continuing to build the player base as well, because WoW is it's an older player base now. You know, you spoke about, continuing to push to get Method back to that number one spot. Do you think there's going to be a lot of sort of roadblocks that continue to approach, tier after tier in that regard?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of roadblocks. Like, I think we're taking the right steps, and I think the progress is being made there. Like, the trajectory looks really promising. But I do think that World of Warcraft as a whole, the landscape's changing quite a bit. Yeah. Obviously, Classic now plays a big part in World of Warcraft. A lot of people even say that World of Warcraft is somewhat propped up by WoW Classic at this point in time.
I can actually say there's more I know for a fact there's more people playing retail than there is Classic.
Oh, there is? Okay.
After a BlizzCon HQ tour, I can tell you that.
That's good to hear, but it definitely does seem to be the case that there's a lot of people now playing Classic, a lot of people now playing retail. It's like player base is a bit more mixed, I guess you could say, now. So the focus is not just on retail. We'll see what that means for the Race to World First, like over time, I guess you could say. But in terms of like the player base and everything in WoW, there's obviously been a very interesting thing recently with Microsoft, the acquisition. I think they could take, World of Warcraft in pretty interesting directions, whether they make it more accessible than the Game Pass or whether they even make it like down the line potentially even free to play, right? Yeah. That would attract a lot more of like the younger player base coming into the game, which would obviously boost the game's player base and also all the traffic onto, the Race to World First and all the hype around it. So I think there's a lot of I think the future is generally quite interesting. But I guess at this moment in time, it's quite uncertain, I guess you could say, as to which direction it's kind of going to go in with, Classic and acquisition and everything like that. But I mean, one thing's for sure, the Race to World First is, it's been an amazing event since we first put it on back in 2018 with Method. And I don't think that's going away anytime soon. We obviously have the expansion release coming in fall of 2024. Which is, to be fair, that is a long time from now. It's probably going to be almost a year until we get like the next big Race to World First event. So we'll have to see if we can make something happen in between now and then, because otherwise it is a very quiet period. And especially for organizations like Method, for example, a lot of our partnerships are positioned around, obviously, these Race to World First events. So if we have a year of, no Race to World First or no events, that obviously, puts additional challenges on us, of course, as an organization. So, I did briefly speak to like the other guilds at BlizzCon and say, we should probably look to make something happen if there's no official like Race to World First, right? But who knows what that could be, because again, to justify doing like a big live event, for example, that takes like, a week or two. I don't know if there's going to be the content for that, but maybe like something online or something. But it all depends really, like, but it would be good to see something happening in between.
Coming to lands like this one, the last one, does it make you miss it? Do you want to come back to raiding? Do you ever get that itch, or you're pretty much done with the Race World First scene?
Actually, I got more of the itch when I was actually at BlizzCon. Especially when we're in the arena watching the announcements, like what's coming out for World of Warcraft. It did kind of make me think that I should, I might want to jump back in, but. Being at these live events and being close to the players, hanging out with you guys, like talent and whatnot, like it does definitely still make me feel like I'm part of it for sure. Whereas if this was like an online event, I would probably feel a lot more disconnected from the whole thing. So I do think the live events are great to still be involved and whatnot, but there's no doubt about it that when I was at BlizzCon, I was like, I kind of miss it a little bit. Like this is kind of exciting. So I don't know, like it's not exactly like it would be something easy to jump back into, so that's the thing, right? But I mean, who knows? I mean, for now, I'm still retired, and
For now. Fair. I like that. I asked Dupes and Bookmark the same question, so I'll finish up with asking you the same one. What's your ultimate Race for World First look like in terms of if you could have anything added that's missing from Race for World First? What would you like to see that, or what would you like to see Race for World First look like?
So, I mean, first of all, I'd obviously like Method to win, right? That's the most important. That's the most important. That's the most important thing. That, to be fair, I care about that more than anything else by far. But I think in general, we're kind of already doing it a little bit with Method, and we've already tried to keep the events that we do quite casual, quite fun, and just keep them quite entertaining. Because at the end of the day, it is meant to be, something entertaining and something fun to, participate in, to watch. So I think in terms of leveling up the events further, I think just trying to increase that entertainment factor even more. So like potentially maybe bring in more external viewers through like working with additional content creators. Like for example, working with like some of the IRL streamers, for example, you can invite them out to the event. They could, do some behind the scenes like streams, maybe jump on the talent couch for a little bit, bring their audience into like what we're kind of doing. So I think just kind of like finding ways to potentially probably work with more content creators around the events, who are not necessarily obviously participating in itself, to try and attract, their audiences and let them know like what we're kind of doing. Because I do think the Race to World First, even if you don't really play WoW, or to be fair, that's World of Warcraft's such an old game now that most gamers at some point have touched the game, which makes it quite unique in that regard. So they have some base knowledge. I think it's a really cool event to watch and take part in. It gets pretty intense, pretty exciting. So I think introducing that to a new audience, especially like you mentioned earlier, WoW's player base and audience is pretty old, right? So getting some new blood in there would probably be a really good thing. So I think probably bringing in more content creators to make the event even bigger and more widespread would be a good thing to do on the event side. Yeah.
Sco, thanks very much for joining me. Appreciate it. Give me some of this. No, we do this. Oh, you want a firm handshake? now it's awkward, bro. Thanks, legend.